The reason why it matters is because every single person who does Blue Apple strategy is able to break through the platform. They're able to actually create compelling, magnetic speaking content, which really stand out. We know this works. In fact, Blue Apple, I may have mentioned in an earlier episode, if we can't make the Blue Apple stack up, if we can't answer the questions to the depth we need to answer them, then it's not a topic that we can create a keynote or a major speech or presentation around. I am so excited about this episode. I almost cannot believe that I'm actually going to give this away for free. This is something that has always been behind the closed doors of clients. And whilst I can't workshop it individually with you the way that we do behind closed doors and in our rooms and our programs, I know that this is the game changer that you never knew that you had. So welcome back to the next episode of Speaker Driven Business, a podcast where I am about to unpack Blue Apple strategy for you. Now, Blue Apple strategy is something that we have been using and refining since 2013. It is something that has proven to be incredibly powerful, but there's really something quite funny around the origin story for the Blue Apple. And that is this. People ask me, how did I first come up with the Blue Apple? And whilst we have different iterations all around us in our life now, from totems of glass Blue Apples, which you might be able to see behind me, to Blue Apple bracelets, to Blue Apple images, to Blue Apple photo shoots, the whole lot. When it first started, the origins of Blue Apple was in about, I don't know what year, it was probably around 2010. I know it's quite a while ago now. I came across this stunning photo of a Blue Apple on Shutterstock. And I loved it so much that I bought it, and I bought it in the highest res, highest license available, because I knew that one day it would be something that I would use. I was so drawn to it. And that drawing in of me to Blue Apple actually perfectly underpins how we've built this strategy. Because Blue Apple, the reason we use a Blue Apple is because it symbolizes what it is that we're wanting to do with our speaking. And what I mean by this is that some people, especially when they're starting out with their speaking, want to be so creative in their topic, want to be so sure that they stand out and that they're different in the market, that they get so wrapped up in the expression and the words and the position that they use that we can no longer actually see what it is that they're bringing to the table. So whilst I am one of the first people to want to smash through boxes and break the freaking rules, there are some things that make it easier for you to be visible to your chosen market. So what the Blue Apple is, it's a representation of how we need to show up and create our signature speaking pieces. With a Blue Apple, we know that it's different, but it's not so different that we don't recognize that it's still an apple. So it's very different, but it's still an apple. It also has people lead in when they first see it. It is kind of whimsical. It is memorable. It makes an impact. Usually people smile. It is something that surprises and delights. It doesn't shock and horrify. Even though some people have told me when we're in the rooms and we're wrestling with the Blue Apple strategy, some people have told me that their Blue Apple is completely bruised or their Blue Apple has fallen off its chair. The Blue Apple is something that creates the ability to be surprising and delightful. It is actually a series of questions. So in previous episodes, we've talked about how TED Talks have a through line. Books have a central argument or a controlling idea. Movies have a central argument or a controlling idea. A controlling argument or a central idea. This is how we actually bring that to life, because it's all well and good to know that that exists and that that is what makes so many storytelling formats powerful. But how do you actually bring that to life? Now, the Blue Apple strategy is 6 questions that I'm going to take you through. Now, I can't workshop these with you to the level that we do, as I said, but I'm so excited about the game changer that this is going to create for you as you work your way through. The reason why it matters is because every single person who does Blue Apple strategy is able to break through the platform. They're able to actually create compelling, magnetic speaking pieces of content which really stand out. Right? We know this works. In fact, Blue Apple, I may have mentioned in an earlier episode, if we can't make the Blue Apple stack up, if we can't answer the questions to the depth we need to answer them, then it's not a topic that we can create a keynote or a major speech or presentation around. It is that simple. So what are the 6 questions? Well, glad you asked. The 6 questions are coming right up. So question number 1 is, what is this? Now, this is not the marketing headline, the snazzy title, the hook line, or anything like that. Simply, what is this topic? What is your topic? What do you speak on? Right? Very simple, no fluff. What's really important with the Blue Apple strategy is it will inform how you construct your speech. It will probably inform much of your marketing, but it is not something you ever actually have to make public. So question 1 is what? Question 2 is, who is this for? Now, if you are looking to inspire, to motivate, to create a movement, to become a keynote speaker, chances are that you are looking at a psychographic of who this is for. This is the challenge they're facing. This is the way that they're thinking. This is what they're craving. If you're a keynote speaker that's a subject matter expert or a business builder, it may well be that you're actually speaking to a demographic. But who are you speaking to? Now, because I'm not going to be right beside you holding your hand, any answer that you come up with is more than okay. But the clearer you can get about who you are speaking to, the stronger your messaging is going to be. Question 3 is, why does this matter? And this is where we go a little bit counterintuitive, because we are almost 100% conditioned to think about the audience. Why does this matter to them? But we forget to go to why this matters for us. And if you are speaking on anything that comes from lived and worked experience, including something that may be more data-driven or technical, we need to go to, why does this matter to you? Because when we can go to that, when we can drop from your head to your heart, when we can actually identify why this really matters to you, there is a resonance that's created that creates a deeper connection with your audience. You also can't take an audience where you don't go. So if you're not prepared to go there, then you can't expect an audience to go there. So when we are doing this and workshopping it, quite often this question ends up with something that is a moment of truth, or a moment, a decision point where you knew absolutely you needed to speak into this. And that doesn't mean it's traumatic and dramatic and lived experience. It can be worked experience. It can be changing the face of something. But whatever it is, there's a moment of truth in why this matters for you. The second part of why this matters for you is not just that moment of truth, but why do you care that anyone else knows about this? Right? Why do you care about that? Really, really important that we go there first. So that is question 3. Question 4 is why squared. And we call this why squared because this is the second part of the why that is just as essential as the first part of the why. And this is when we flick back into the audience. And this question, if you answer anything that has they should, they could, they would, it makes sense, they will, they can, you are still speaking from your perspective and not why it matters to them. Get yourself inside their mind. When we're workshopping this with our clients, we usually have to go to 3 levels deep to get the true essence of why this matters to an audience. But if you can at least get yourself inside their head, articulating what's going on in their world so that when they hear what you speak on and they see the description, they choose to give you their time and attention, you are going to be so far ahead of your competition. It's insane. The next question, question number 5, is what is the gift? And by gift, this is not the emotional state. This is what is the tactic, the strategy, the questions, the insight, the new information. What is it that you're giving them that they can walk away with and do? And this is really important because this is how we embed ourselves into the cellular memory of our audiences. Because if they take away something from you that they can use that creates any element of change or shift in perspective or view of the world or in their life, even if they never use it, if they walk away with something that they know they can use, whether or not they ever hear you or see you again, they will remember you. It's kind of invoking the laws of reciprocity. The other thing is that this is how you become memorable. This is how people remember who you are and tell other people why you should do it. From the days of my resilience speaking, the first time I delivered that speech was in 2013 or 2014. And from the days of that, I've had one strategy or one hook line that has stayed the same all the way through. And that has been this, my 4-step strategy for resilience. Close the door, go to the floor, find the thing, climb the stairs. And people can still repeat that to me and to others 10 years later. This is the power of it. This is the gift. What is the strategy that you're giving them? What is the insight, the thinking, the questions, the new information? What is it that you're giving them that they can take away and use whether or not they ever see you again? In the words of one of my most valuable mentors, and I touched this in a previous episode, what are you sharing on Friday that they can use on Saturday and teach others on Monday? Super, super important. This is how you become an in-demand speaker. And if there's no gift, then it's possibly something that's a little self-indulgent and not going to work from the big stage. The last question is possibly the most important question. And that question is, what is the mic drop? Now, most people, when I say who wants a mic drop, will put their hand up. What we need to think about is, what is a mic drop in its purest form? A mic drop is a visceral reaction. It is an emotional, embodied reaction to something that somebody says. It's like something that forever creates the axis of the world, changes the axis of your world. It's something that makes you want to high five and punch the air. It's something that, you bound to your feet in explanation and applause. It's something that creates this visceral emotional response. So mic drops are not just about the word. They're about the intentionality of the emotion you want to elicit. So the mic drop for us is, what is the emotional state that you want to leave your audience in when this thing is done, when they have finished listening to you? And that will then guide the tone, the stories, the structure, the giveaways, everything, and the takeaways, everything that you're going to do in the speech. Because, for example, when I was speaking to build a business, so keynote speaking to build business as an industrial relations consultant, my main emotion that I wanted to leave people with was shock and fear, because I wanted them to write me big checks to come and actually make sure that their business was insured against future industrial relations threats. It was shock mainly, followed by fear, because I wanted them to open their checkbooks. I was very unapologetic about it. Now, when it's about women speaking up, it is far more inspirational. I want women to feel empowered, right? So there's a big difference in that. You need to understand what that is. And there is no right or wrong here. It just simply must resonate with you. And it must be an emotional state that you want to leave people in. So many speakers are not intentional about this. And this is why we get people who, I call them negligent speakers, leave their audiences in a state where they should never have been taken to in the first place. So if you're not intentional with this, you could well and truly inflict emotional harm or leave people where you don't want them at the time when you finish speaking. And that is not what you want to do as a speaker. I know that if you are listening to this podcast, that this concerns you, that this is important to you. So those 6 questions together all allow us to actually create your platform breaking piece. As I said, the blue apple won't stack up. We don't go there. And most of our clients who've built the muscle of the blue apple, they also won't go there if it doesn't stack up, because they've come to love and appreciate the value of it. We use this for speaking. We use it for product development. We use it for service development. It is a really powerful tool. Those 6 questions will change your life. As I said, I only wish that I could workshop it deeply to the levels that we go with our clients. But I do know that using those 6 questions will pull together your speeches in ways that you've never dreamed possible. Because understanding the responses to those 6 questions create decision filters for you. What structures should I be using? What stories do I want to tell? What is my tone? What is my outcome? What am I going to give them? You get very intentional about what's going to come together in your speech and what you're going to leave on the cutting room floor. Blue Apple strategy is something that has changed not just our world, but the lives of now thousands of our clients over the last 7 to 10 years. It is something that I implore you to use. We've got a downloadable for you in the show notes, which is a worksheet to remind you and prompt you about these questions the next time you're putting something together. And if the Blue Apple doesn't stack up, then the idea and the topic has to die.